G'day everyone, Matt from Crank Engineering, and if you want to build a chassis jig like this, stick around, I'll show you how to do it. Alright, so this video is really to accompany the plans I've got available, linked down below somewhere. You can go purchase a set of those if you're interested in building something like this. So from the start, I'll say if you haven't got, well, if you can't weld, you can't really build one of these, and you probably can't build chassis anyway. So if you can weld, and if you've got access to a lathe and a mill, it's a piece of cake. It's just basic stock and you can smash one out pretty easily. So you could probably do it without a mill. But something like these neck cones, you'll have to get a lathe to make those, or you'll need to buy them off somebody else. So let's step through some of the features on this one, which are not exactly the same as the plans, and I'll tell you why. So the main feature of this style of chassis jig, which is not my design, is this 2-inch or 50mm channel that runs in between the main structure of the jig itself. And that's helpful for a couple of reasons. Firstly, it's easy to mount everything to the jig if you're using 50mm or 2-inch stock. And secondly, it gives you this channel down the centre where you can use to support the frame. So you can make these little brackets very easily with some scrap to use to mount frame parts. So this particular one is like XS650, so this picks up on the bottom engine mounts, so it holds it securely onto the jig while you're working on it. So the 2-inch channel down the centre is a great advantage. Now you don't have to use 2 inches or 50mm, use whatever you like, but 50mm or 2-inch stock is pretty common. So to set that gap, I just use 2-inch stock for the legs, which you can see in the front of the camera here. So this is the main support, or the main leg, the vertical leg, and there's one front and rear. And if you use 2-inch or 50mm stock here, you set your channel down the centre, which is great. So my particular jig is built around these big C-section beams, which are about 3-inch by 3 by 8 inch. Now the reason I use these was because they were free. And you need something like quite heavy and structural to form the main part of the jig. Now, I'm not showing this size in the plans because it's not that common, right? And again, because I got it for free, I use what I had. If you can get something similar for free, well, use what you can get. But if not, you can buy some rectangular box section, which will replicate this style of, or this part of the structure on the frame for you. So use whatever you can get, or if you have to, buy some box section similar to what's shown in the plans. Righto, costume change. Have to reshoot this video. The first time I was out of focus. Blame the idiot behind the camera. Happens to be the same idiot that's in front of the camera, but never mind. Righto, back to the frame jig. So this is the front structure, or the front support for the steering neck. And this is made out of some simple parts. So there's a 50mm square tube backbone that goes right up and down through this plate and between the rails in the frame, which is the structure. And I've used quite a heavy wall, square hollow section, about 5mm wall, just for a bit of extra strength. And as I said, it goes right through this plate. So there's a hole cut in the plate that's about 50mm square, it goes through and it's welded on. And then there's a bolt and a plate at the bottom that locks this whole thing onto the frame rails itself. Now you could put some clamps on the top, but having a mechanism underneath the rails is just a bit cleaner, I think. Do it however you think is appropriate. And once that's done, what I've done is use a piece of flat bar, 50mm wide, same width as the main backbone, and 10mm thick. And I've stitch welded that onto the backbone. And so stitch welding, an inch weld about every 3 inches or so. So there's just a bunch of welds to hold this flat bar onto the backbone. And once it was welded, I put it in my milling machine and I just faced off that front of that flat bar just to make it as flat as possible. I was expecting some distortion when I welded it together. I mean, if you welded the whole seam, you definitely get some distortion. Even with stitch welding, I was expecting some distortion as well. So I just faced it off. Not critical, but helpful for something like this. This particular plate on the base here, which is, I guess, supports the backbone. Obviously, the backbone has to be perpendicular to this plate in both this plane here and the back plane. So that means this thing's going to be dead vertical. Now this particular plate, doesn't matter what size it is, I've cut it pretty wide because my frame rails are pretty wide, so the one that's shown in the plan will be smaller than this one. But again, depending on what you're doing, you can cut that to suit the rails that you've got. And that basic structure is what supports the neck stem assembly. And again, some simple parts that are put together to make this work. So some flat bar on the back, some flat bar that's cut out to make these brackets, and a piece of solid rectangular bar for the support for the threaded rod. Now I've used 20mm metric threaded rod and drilled and tapped this particular block, and I've also drilled and tapped the neck cones. Now I've used metric M20 because I had access to a 20mm tap, and if you buy hardware grade tap and die set, you generally won't get taps that large. So it's a special, not a special, but you have to go and buy it specially, or you have to borrow one off someone who's got something. So you could use, say, 3/4, or you could use 20mm, or you could use 7/8, or something, you know, substantial and quite heavy would be the go. I use 20 because I had access to a 20mm tap. So just use whatever you can get a tap for. So choose a tap first, and then buy the threaded rod to suit. So I've drilled and tapped this block. I mean, really, you could weld the threaded rod onto the block. I figured that this threaded rod could be a replaceable part at some point, so I didn't really want to weld it on because we'd have to cut it off and then weld something else on. So I've drilled and tapped it, and then I've put a pin, cross-drilled it, and put a pin in just to stop it rotating, because once all these are locked down, well, I found it unscrewed itself, so I had to go back and do a modification to cross-drill this guy and put a pin in. So that just helps prevent this threaded rod from unscrewing itself. So keep that in mind. And then these neck cones I've machined out of some aluminium bar stock as well. So I used aluminium. It's a bit softer, obviously, than steel. Generally, frames are steel. And I sort of figured these would be a sacrificial part if required. The steel frame will obviously deform the aluminium, and I sort of figured that's okay. I'd rather damage these aluminium cones than damage the steel neck on the motorcycle frame itself. So I chose something that I figured would be sacrificial. Now, if you haven't got a lathe, you're going to need to buy something like this, or take a carton of beer around to a friend's place who has got a lathe. So you need to figure out one way of getting these. You don't have to be aluminium. You could use steel. You could possibly use plastic, but if you're welding a chassis up, there'll be quite a lot of heat in this neck area while you're welding it all together. So plastic may not survive that sort of work. Now, the other main benefit of this style of structure is I remove this entire neck support system from the backbone, and I reuse it in my engine stand for supporting frames for painting, because the engine stand you can rotate, and I use this same structure to support a frame for painting, and I can rotate the frame. So I didn't come up with that idea, I stole it from Instagram somewhere, but this particular style means I can reuse it. So keep that in mind if you think that's something that you want to do too. Now, this rear structure is basically identical in construction to the front one. It's a little shorter because normally your axle is a lot lower than where your steering neck is up higher. So the front one's higher and this one's a little bit lower. It's worked for everything I've needed to use it for. Same construction though. So 50mm square tube that goes right through this plate, and there's a pinch bolt at the bottom to hold it against the rails. 10mm milled flat face on it with a slot in the middle for the bolts. And this particular bracket, similar construction, just a piece of flat bar that bolts right through to a keeper plate on the back. And on this design, I've used a larger block, and I've just drilled a pair of 3/4 holes and a pair of 5/8 holes. And the idea is you can use some bar stock, and this will pick up in the axle plates of a frame, or again, you can customize this however you want. But for chopper frames, for rigid frames for say Harleys or whatever, this works fine. And a pair of them allows you to pick up the slot in an axle plate. An axle plate is usually elongated so that you can move the wheel back and forth to adjust the chain tension. So this works all right. Harleys have got, say, a 3/4 axle, works fine. If you've got something with a 5/8 axle, you could use the front hole. So you don't have to build it with 2 pairs of holes. I don't even know where I got this idea from, but I figured it was just adding to the flexibility of the jig the way it was. So here's what it looks like with a frame on the jig. I've just been doing some mods to this particular frame for an oil tank mount and just converting it to a right side shift. So I'm going to put a brake crossover tube at the back here. So I've mounted it in the stand so I can take measurements and make sure everything's parallel square and all that sort of good stuff. So I've got it in here with a case, an engine case in here, just to hold the whole thing steady. So you could use it for modifying frames or building a new one. So in this example, I've got an existing frame in here. So to set it up, it's pretty straightforward. Just loosen up pretty much all the bolts for the headstock support. Loosen off the rear as well, and I usually leave this one free to move, and I'll lock this one as far forward possible, and that one can just stay rigid. And then drop the chassis on, line up the angle of the neck tube, put the tube neck tube over the top of the thread. Obviously you have the lower cone screwed right down. Sit it on the jig and just pinch that neck stem with the cones, and then move the rear vertical to the right position, move it forward, backwards as required. Put some tubes through or some bar stock through to support the axle plate if it's a rigid frame like this, and just lock everything down, measure it all up, lock everything down, and square it all up. So it's pretty straightforward, very flexible, and obviously you can customize it however you want depending on the frame that you're using. So this front section will pretty much stay the same for no matter what bike. All bikes have got a steering stem of some description like this, or a steering neck. So that's pretty much common. But depending on what you've got at the back here, whether you want to pick up like a swing arm pivot point or some other feature on the frame, then you could just really customize this whole rear assembly to suit whatever sort of bike you've got. So I figure if you can manufacture something like this jig, you can figure out how to make some sort of a structure at the back here to suit the frame that you've got. So here's a modification I've made to my engine stand to accommodate the front neck support assembly from the chassis jig, so I can hold a complete frame on my engine stand. So that's the original bracket that comes with a regular engine stand. I've just pimped this up with a bit more paint and everything, but I've just made a separate one. You can use this one, but you have to mount it off center, which means it's always got like an overturning moment on it. So I just made this new one. I had a bit of tube that fits in the sleeve here, a bit of flat bar, welded it all up, and I literally just drilled the holes in the same pattern as I had for this bracket and just mount it straight onto the engine stand. So I can rotate this around, and this is the main reason I put these hexes into this cone, was I could never do this up tight enough by hand to hold the frame if I wanted to use the engine frame and rotate it around and so turn it on its side or turn it upside down. So this has been a real helpful modification, but also having this available to bolt onto an engine stand is great. So I can wheel this around and I can wheel it into my painting area and give it a coat of paint and keep it out of here, but also support it adequately with the neck and not have to worry about trying to figure out how I'm going to support it for painting. So good mod and easy to do if you make the jig with this type of structure for the neck. So I hope that's been useful. You can get the plans from the link below. They're on my web store. You can download those with an immediate purchase. Check them out. If you've got any questions, drop them in the comments below and I'll get back to you there. Thanks for watching.